We are live on the Rabbit Hole Sports and Media Radio Network, bringing you some Pac-12 football between the Sonoma State Seawolves and the Wyoming Cowboys, our first ever full game broadcast here on the channel. So if you have watched this series through the videos I've posted so far, I'm still doing those. I want to get them back to a shorter, more general version to keep them more enticing to a broader audience. But I also want some ways to talk about the finer details of things for myself, because that's the enjoyment really for me, the deeper concepts of it and why I like to do it, but also for the people who enjoy that as well. So this is one of the ways I will be doing that more full game broadcast, and this is the first one as the Cowboys take the field here in Laramie in a matchup between Pac-12 opponents. The Cowboys, of course, playing up after winning the Mountain West a season ago, just a 6-6 regular season, but found their way in the title game and upset a ranked North Texas Mean Green team to earn their way up as we are underway here today. It has been tough sledding for the Cowboys so far, especially as of late, averaging just 5.7 points per game over their last three straight losses. Their last win, a 34-24 victory over the Nevada Wolfpack, and a week ago, of course, had their promotion-relegation tiebreaker game. That did not go well. On the road at Texas State, lost 33-0. So needing to win at least one of their final two, depending on the results of Texas State, to stay up. But it is Sam Scott getting loose to the outside. Put on a nice spin move. Almost unnecessary. You'll kind of see it again. He was already by him, and then I don't even know what the purpose of the spin was. But a chunk run for the Cowboys off the bat as Evan Sivaboda, I believe that is how you pronounce his last name, comes out directing the offense, and underneath it is number 87. Well, that's the second tight end, actually. The primary tight end, number 84, John Michael Gillenborg. Really big threat for this team. One of the better tight ends we've gone up against all year, mid-80s. Good vertical route runner. We have not been great against tight ends. However, vertical threats we've done a little bit better of a job against. It's really because we are willing to give those dink and dunk throws to the tight ends as opposed to receivers and running backs. And because of that, they are kind of able to eat up receptions against us. But quick throw to the outside, Nico Solomon on the spot. And the problem I came across in recent weeks when looking back on our defense was found just doing too much, needed to get back to our basics, so was trying to be very cover 3 and cover 4 palms heavy in this game and work on certain formational alerts, minimize the adjustments at the line, still doing them, but keeping myself more focused on the game, because I feel like I'm just barely even actually able to play defense because I'm doing so much I can't even keep track of where I am when the ball is snapped, and I feel that has really hurt us. So trying to get back to basics in many ways, and an example of that here as I take a timeout, and that's one of the elements you'll get in more of the full game format, is you'll get to see other little things like that where I'm willing to take timeouts in the first half. Just like in real life, I wish the CPU would kind of do that too if they come out in the wrong formation or sense that they're about to get something they're really not prepared for, taking timeouts and adding that strategic element to the game. But Sivaboda drops back, gets it out as he is pressured. That is Gillenborg, who we talked about, but Michael Roderick on the spot with the tackle, and the Cowboys, after a couple of nice plays to start the drive, will be settling for a field goal attempt. This one about 40 yards, and it is going to sneak in that right upright, and the fellas in brown are on the board first. White helmets, brown jersey, brown pants for the Cowboys. Of course, that gold numbering and lettering on the jersey, stripes on the pants, as we are underway in Laramie. There's the head coach, Tim Birch, 10-14 in his tenure, directing this Wyoming team in the game. All the coaches are made up. They did not put the real-life coaches in the game, so they didn't make up any past stats for them. So all the coaches are in the second year of their tenure, including Callie Z, who we see right there. My girlfriend pointed out to me, said it like Drew right there on accident. My girlfriend pointed out to me they only ever seem to show the side of my coach's face, but that is all right. Callie Z on the sidelines, Callie Z commentating to you Here, a little split personality as I take on the coach, play-by-play, color commentator, commissioner role in this series. Scott McLawler going to motion over, going up against 4-2-5 defense from Wyoming. Going to keep him on a post, but we have to change it because it doesn't auto-do that. And we are going to hit him right between the defenders in what looked like a cover 6. And a big play off the bat to the senior tight end, number 80, Scott McLawler. And the Seawolves off and rolling after one play. So both offenses starting with some explosives in the early going here. In the I formation, strong right, twins to the left. Barnes directing the offense. Going to hand it off to Tyson. He's going to get to the outside. Going to give a stiff arm and all the way into Wyoming territory to the 30-yard line. And no huddle. Once again for Sonoma State. See them use this strategically at times when we have a personnel mismatch we really like, or just really in a good flow and, kind of have that feel of when to go to it. Some of it's just gut feeling and intuition. Barnes on the keeper on the read. TB5, always electric, going to slide down here, pick up 7. And for the first time today, the Seawolves will huddle. Number 1 total offense in the nation, top 10 in scoring as well. Number 1 rushing attack in the country, while sitting just outside of the top 50. In the passing game has been a very complete unit for Sonoma State. The growth from last year, more of a complete spread offense, I would say, last year. We're here a lot more pro-style elements to the offense. McLawler involved again, this time on the sideline. Can't bring him back enough to allow him to turn up field for some run after catch, but a first down, and we are inside the red zone early on. Pistol formation, 2 tight ends going to shift. Tight end's going to stay on the ends of the line. Bentley on the left. McLawler on the right. That is L.J. Young moving from the slot on the left to the outside receiver on the right-hand side. Going to get into some counter and very well defended that time. Number 57, Mark Boyles in the backfield. One of their explosive edges. Going to go a little more interior as well, as you see there when they get into their true nickel personnel. So again, 4-2-5. I think those 3 safeties going to be on the field as their primary defense when they go to a true third corner. Looks like they run a little more 3-3-5 when they do that, and he is going to slide to the inside, shoots a gap there. But counter going to be a big part of the offense today. Our game plan is going to be heavily oriented around gap runs, especially misdirection and counter like we saw there. Hopefully hit it for some more successful gains later in the game. And then some inside zone, especially to the weak side with that over front in the 4-2-5 where they overhang that safety. Some inside zone weak should really hit big. And then some RPOs and play action. Those are the 4 biggest key elements to the game plan. But a third down on this opening drive, 3rd and 6. Just inside the 15, marked at the 14, but about the 14 and a half. Barnes quick to Tyson, and he is going to hang on and take a big hit for a Sonoma State first down, set up a 1st and goal at the 7-yard line for the Seawolves. Barnes once again directing traffic. This time Javon Moore on the move. Settles on the right-hand side. Gregory to the right in the pistol, Tyson behind him. Scott McLawler, the tight end, to the right. This is going to be Tyson on the keeper, and that is going to be swallowed up in the backfield by Micah Young. Maybe a no gain back to the line of scrimmage for Tyson, one of the breakout stars of this offense. On this breakout campaign in general, I guess you could say. I don't know. Probably poorly worded there. But moving around is McLawler now. Point being, Keontae Tyson has been an exceptional part of this offense and run game. As we see him right here, taking down to the 2-yard line. And that is going to set up our second 3rd down opportunity of the game. Sonoma State sitting at 7-3, off to a 4-0 start this year. 3-3 in their last 6. Tough loss to USC. Brutalized by UC Santa Barbara. 3rd and goal here from the 2-yard line. Barnes again in the pistol. Tyson behind him. McLawler to the right. Gonna get it to McLawler across the formation. He is in the end zone. And Sonoma State rumbling early. Number 80. Impactful. 3 catches on this opening drive. 39 yards and a score for the senior tight end. We see Suachu and CJ Peaks over celebrating the touchdown And there we see the cheerleaders getting excited, but a first quarter lead for Sonoma State when this team is playing on the front foot. Normally good things happen, USC game aside. Typically playing ahead, this team's strength. Designed to be able to play from behind, but again, want to be on the front foot, want to be able to really feel in control of game flow and tempo. And it is easier to do that when you are controlling both time of possession and the scoreboard, as George Lincoln sends in the extra point. 10-play, 85-yard touchdown drive, eating up 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And it is George Lincoln and the kickoff unit on the field for the second time in this first quarter with 4:22 to go. Lincoln sends it away. Slight angle to the left-hand side. On the return, that is number 5, Tyler King, taken down at the 28-yard line. Decent field position for Sabota and company as the Cowboys come out for their second possession of the game. This SSU defense going to come out with a 3-down lineman look. 4 guys on the second level. Man in motion is the running back, Scott. Sabota underneath, complete. That is going to be a pickup of 8 yards. Number 11, Justin Stevenson on the reception. Going to set up a very serviceable 2nd and 2. 4-5 start to the game for Sabota. Number 17, the senior quarterback, out of Mesa, Arizona, which is where I currently reside in real life. Going to come out 2 receivers to the left, tight end to the right, running back to the right. Quick throw to the flat. Going to get down on it, but it is going to be enough for the Cowboy first down. Like we were talking about in the earlier part of the broadcast, this Cowboy offense, rough going as of late, of course, shut out a week ago in San Marcos against Texas State, and then 10 points and 7 points in their other 2 of their previous 3 performances. Play action for Sabota, going to take a shot deep, and that is Jaden Bowie breaking it up, looking for Stevenson once again down the field, going to set up a 2nd down and 10 from the 39-yard line. 2 tight ends to the left, 2 receivers to the right into the boundary. That is King and Stevenson for the Cowboys, and this is Sam Scott on the ground with a nice alley. He is going to pick up 8 and set up a 3rd and manageable for Wyoming. Decent crowd today here in Laramie as the weather cools down as we enter the November part of the year. Here in the Dynasty, in real life, we are, at least in Arizona, really starting to heat up as we enter April in real life. 3rd and 2 here, Sabota from the pocket. Forced out, can't get it off. That is Jaquez shooting blanks. I said I wouldn't use that nickname, so I apologize, but it is a stop after a quarterback pressure from this Seawolf defense, and a pretty solid start after a couple of big plays off the bat for Wyoming. Settling in is this Sonoma State unit, donning the default road uniforms as DeMarvin Holland takes it on the return. Finds a lane to the left-hand side. He's going to cross the 30-yard line and take it to the 33 and set up Sonoma State with solid field position on their second possession of the game. Barnes and company coming out. It's going to be Gregory, the fullback, with Tyson at running back. McLawler, the tight end. Peaks and Moore, the receivers, 1 on each side of the formation. Barnes gets the guy set. Here we see that inside zone weak, and Tyson going to break it loose, get it into the 2nd and 3rd level, and all the way into Wyoming territory. A pickup of 22 to start the drive, and to the line. Again, we see some more tempo from Sonoma State. Ball away quickly. Barnes out of the break, looking for Javon Moore. He cannot hang on. Incomplete. Going to bring up 2nd down and 10. On-time throw, but an on-time job at defensive back. That was number 30, Kendrick McAllister, the top guy in coverage for this Wyoming unit. Here we see the wide splits from Sonoma State. We like to do this a lot on 2nd and long to open lanes in the running game like that. Nolan Knight, the freshman, on the carry. He picks up 7. Going to set up a 2nd down and 3 from the 38-yard line. For the second time in as many drives, we see Sonoma State work their way into Wyoming territory. This offense has certainly mastered the ability to as Hank Stram of the Chiefs would say, matriculate the ball down the field. Gonna get set on 3rd and 3, more in motion. Going to McLawler on the screen. Overplay from number 19, the free safety, Malik Singleton. And McLawler going to continue his impactful first half and take it into the red zone at the 19. One of those where it's like, well, what the heck is number 19 doing, overplaying like that? But at the same time, against a blitz, that screen should work really well. And for whatever reason, because the game seems to have linemen just disregard defensive backs ever for blocking, they don't go out and pick them up, even though the whole point of the screen is, oh, you're going to blitz? Okay, well, we're just going to let you rush up the field. We're going to let our linemen leak out and clear out anyone in the way, which would be super easy with one dude in man coverage. This game does not make it that way. So, double-edged sword, because it really works the way it should, but at the same time, it looks really, really goofy and gimmicky. Quick throw here on some match coverage from Wyoming on a first down. You'll see it right here. Maybe can throw back McLawler on that corner route. He is bracketed. If we can use her and are, confident in our ability to go up and catch it in traffic, we can throw that. Again, dangerous throw and first down, so kind of the main reason I turned it down. But just a gain of 2. Probably should have gone to the other drag route. Maybe a little more of an advantageous look for some run after catch. 2nd and 8, gonna go play action. Quick pressure, get it out quick to Spencer Strickland. We could have hung on a little longer, might have been able to hit Tyson out of the backfield on the post. But that is gonna bring us to the end of the first quarter. We see the running back stats there. Sam Scott, just a pair of carries, but 40 yards on the ground, while Tyson, 5 carries and 46 yards himself. Just over 9 yards a tick for the Sonoma State running back. With a couple of decent outings, not even great, decent outings, will have a very good shot at getting to 1,000 yards on the ground on the campaign. Of course, injuries would be a caveat there, so rooting for that to not be an issue. But a 3rd and 9, going to be some movement. Looked like Strickland, the back, who moved, and that'll set Sonoma State back an extra 5. 3rd down and 14, now outside of the red zone, making it a little bit harder on what was already a must-pass down, essentially. Going to come out and show a screen. Look to check here, but I do end up getting so caught up changing routes and stuff that I end up backed up against the play clock and not even being able to concentrate on what everyone is doing and go through progression. So, get flushed, able to get it away. I don't know if anyone really got open anyway, but I get so caught in setting things up that it's like, hey, remember what we're doing and actually play the game. But Lincoln, in on the field goal, he's going to get it inside that left upright, just enough length. Normally I try to go back to Matthew York for field goals since he has some better kick power, but forgot to do that here. Lincoln drives it through, and it is a 10-3 game here in Laramie. Again, tense moments at the end of this season for the Cowboys as they fight to stay up in the Pac-12 and avoid a return to the Mountain West next season, while Texas State, on the other hand, who the Seawolves will see next week in their regular season finale, Senior Day, look to stay up in the conference for a 3rd consecutive season. If Texas State wins out, it will not matter what Wyoming does. If Texas State loses out, Wyoming needs to win at least one game. If both lose out, Texas State would earn their way ahead because they are tied in conference record right now, but of course, Texas State, the head-to-head win, earning them tiebreaker. Underneath for 4, Michael Gillenborg. I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it. You see it on the screen there, B-O-R-G. So I don't think it's a Berg, I think it's a Borg. Kind of like a cyborg. I don't know. Anyway, you see once again, Twins receivers to the right side, twin tight ends to the left. This time we're going to try Sam Scott, and we set the edge right there. Jaquez Blanks and Jaden Bowie shooting in. You see the internet connection coming into play there in the gameplay. Don't know why I didn't cut this out. Sometimes I think I cut stuff out, but because my editing software ends up being kind of laggy, I can't totally see certain little fragments of things that I want to cut out. But there you see that it had cut out mid-play. We come back in the middle of a third down, and it is complete to Chris Durr Jr. for a third down. Coverage was still pretty decent, hung on in traffic, but the drive stays alive. Moving around from the SSU front, Scott on the ground up the middle, pickup of 2, and that'll bring up a 2nd down and 8. Just over a minute and a half gone in this second quarter as we move closer to the halftime interval a little bit. 10-3 Sonoma State. Sabota calls out the signal. Out to the right this time, and SSU is all over it for a loss, and that'll bring up a 3rd down and 11. That time we see Kai Riggins, the primary rover in our defense, lining up all over the field, doing a variety of things, coming up, making the play there. And on a 3rd and 11, once again, another throw where we have a defender right there, but hanging on for a 1st down, Wyoming, and they take it into SSU territory, the 45-yard line. Twin receivers to the left, running back to the left of the quarterback. This is going to be Scott to the right, and this is going to be Bubba Van Claiborne, the BVC pipe, in on the tackle. They're going to credit him with the tackle for loss, although it does not show in the down and distance with a 2nd and 10 being indicated, but a slight loss on the play as the Cowboys come to the line. 2nd and 10. More movement from the SSU defense. Big staple of us moving around in the front. Sabota going to go quick out to the right. Number 87 getting involved once again. Should have wrote down who that was on my list of players. I thought I covered a good amount. Apparently not enough. Don't have a full roster sheet that I can print out anywhere. Tried to go cover 0 on this 3rd down. I got obliterated in coverage. He goes the other way anyway. Terrell Pace gets picked on, and that appears to be Gillenborg once again for a 1st down. 31-yard line now for the Cowboys. 1st down and 10 as they march closer to the red zone and look for a game-leveling touchdown. From the pocket, trying to pick on Van Claiborne, but he is all over it. Incomplete, and that is going to bring up a 2nd down and 10. Forcing incompletions consistently has not been our strength on the defensive side of the ball. Flag down on the play as Sabota throws it away on 2nd and 10. That is going to be the player I used, Van Claiborne, getting called for illegal contact. I did run into an offensive player. Incidentally, it's not like I'm trying to hold him up. No, incidental contact. Come on, no. Whatever. Fair call. 1st down and 10. Internet connection, 1st down. Right on a guy, 1st down. Terrible coverage, 1st down. Penalty, 1st down. All the themes of our defensive breakdowns emerging on this drive as we take our 2nd timeout of this 1st half to get ourselves settled. A lot more willing to take the timeouts to get in the right personnel and look in the 1st half as opposed to the 2nd. A lot more critical, I think, to keep them in the 2nd half, although when you get down to a potential, end of half scoring opportunity and you've used all your timeouts in the 1st half, that does definitely sting. So still don't want to use them outside of an end of half situation, but if we have to get the right personnel in the field, we will do that. 2nd down and 11. Movement again. 3 tight ends on the field. Bootleg. I get absolutely cooked. I don't know why I take so long and wait for myself to get murked by a play action before I finally zoom out my camera. But when I'm on the default camera and you can't see the receivers, I just get so focused on the box, and no matter what tight ends are doing, it looks like they're blocking. But once I zoom out the camera and see the whole picture, we typically do much better. But unfortunate there, 100% my fault, as we do want our DBs playing some outside leverage there, as we are supposed to have help in the middle of the field. But when your help gets caught following a fake handoff, you are in a very bad spot. Also a not great return there. Number 27 to Marvin Holland. Juke rating not really a strength. Certainly twitchy. But when you try to juke with guys who are twitchy but don't have good juke ratings, that is the result. And, it's a balance of fair, but at the same time, maybe it wouldn't look that ridiculous. Inside zone week once again out of a different formation. Tyson, chunked run, 6 carries, 60 yards in this first half, as we have certainly gotten some splash runs. Just our third possession of the game, 6 minutes to go here in the first half. Barnes working from under center again. We have seen this Twins left, strong right formation earlier in the game. Going to come out in it once again. Ran duo with a bubble alert to the left last time. This time a toss to the right. Tyson to the outside, going to get 6 after the motioning from Javon Moore. 7 carries, 66 yards. Number 7 rush attempts, matching the jersey number for Keontae Tyson. So we're going to get the freshman Nolan Knight a spell in here at running back. With the motion and the 2 guys coming over, I'm assuming they're blitzing, but I actually really should have motioned the tight end back over to the right side because it's an overload blitz, so I should have forced them to overload blitz from the other side, the opposite of where I was booting from. So while the intention was to bring a guy over for extra protection, it actually brought 2 blitzers over while we only brought 1 blocker over. So it did not solve the problem. 3rd and 4 here. Going to look to sprint out the other way on this down into the boundary. Quick out. Have the look. Don't have the accuracy. And for the first time today, the punting unit is going to see the field. Matthew York, the senior, coming out. He has been very good punting the football. Gets this one away, doing it from his own 33-yard line. Going to be room for Tyler King. Going to take it to the 25. 8 or 9 on the return, and it is going to be the 4th possession of the game for Wyoming as they take over on their own 25-yard line on that left hash. As we continue in this matchup here, you see me finally get into the correct camera angle, and it would play benefits in at least me not consistently running our help out of the middle of the field. Sabota has all day, though, finally gets some pressure, and it is an incompletion. They certainly do have a good pass blocking unit on the O-line, and we did only run a 3-man pressure, but my goodness, that was a very, very long time to have to play coverage all day for number 17, but an incompletion. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10 for Wyoming. Sabota and the Cowboys to the line again. Condensed set with 2 tight ends. Going over the middle. Not a great throw. Also had a guy in the area. And that'll bring up a 3rd and 10 off of back-to-back incompletions from this Wyoming offense. Definitely something we as a defense want to see more of. Worst pass defense in the country. Best rush defense in the country. I think a big part of that I need to check at the end of the season. But I think if you go and look at the percentage of pass plays we faced versus percentage of run plays, it's pretty insane. I would guess it's close to 70-75% pass plays we have faced, which even in a more pass-dominant era of football, I don't think too many teams are facing that. So I believe it's a little skewed due to that, but at the same time, we certainly do need to shore and tighten some things up. Holland get a fair catch this time on the punt. 3 straight incompletions and a 3-and-out from the defense. Outstanding work. Offense going to come back out. Nolan Knight going to stay in the game. Going to check right here, change formations, get to a split backs. McLaughlin, the tight end to the right into the boundary. 2 receivers. Moore and Peaks to the left. Moore in the slot. Adjusting protection. Play action. Need to go to McLaughlin over the middle. He's wide open. It looks like Gregory has him outrun to the sideline, but they have great speed at linebacker, so they're going to be able to recover, and McLaughlin was wide open behind him. Already a very solid first half for Scotty Mack, but should have been able to add to it there, and that is going to bring up a 2nd down and 10 as Barnes calls out the adjustments at the line. Going to get essentially a deep smash-ish concept to the left, drive concept to the right, and going to throw it back inside to Keontae Tyson, and that is a Sonoma State 1st down and quick to the line. Once again, for this SSU offense, off of the big play. Getting set, third time we've seen this formation, at least. Play action, Barnes, throwing, finds Javon Moore, near a first down. Going to be a 2nd down and 1 opportunity for this Sonoma State offense. Operating inside Wyoming territory. Same formation again, but this time to set up a shift. Going to get into an option look here. McLawler motions out, or shifts out to the right technically. Barnes to the outside. Pitches late to Nolan Knight. Tries to make a move to the outside, can't make a miss, but another chunk play for this Seabolt offense as they move to the fringe of the red zone at the 23-yard line. And going to get into a dagger concept on this play right here, defined by that go route from the slot and the in route from the outside. But we're going to put a corner route from the slot, get an alert, create the same effect, but get more of an available route instead of just a clear route. We go underneath to McLawler. He's had a very solid first half, 5 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown to go along with it. 6,009 career passing yards for Teron Barnes. I guess he passed the 6,000 mark threshold. I don't know what was... I don't think the 6,009 was overly special, but passes the 6,000 career passing yard mark, second-year quarterback for SSU. Going to be interesting to see what his future holds this offseason. Certainly would be a candidate to move on to potentially a bigger program for his final year of eligibility. I certainly believe he's good enough to go to the NFL. His rating probably will not trigger that to happen. So we will see what happens or what storylines we make up is kind of why I bring it up. McLawler moving around again as we try to get our formation right on a 1st and goal. Pressure from the Cowboys. Strickland tries to pick it up, does not do a great job, and that is going to be a sack for Wyoming, a loss on 1st down there. We see on the replay, Strickland picks up the blitz, doesn't do a great job picking it up. Would have loved to maybe get McLawler to, or I think Bentley was actually in on this play at tight end. Maverick Bentley, the backup tight end. Would have loved to have him maybe run the post. However, they did have a defender in the middle of the field. Barnes gets out of the pocket, cheeses his way out of bounds at the 3-yard line. Not quite making a man miss, but avoiding a hit. Kind of. They still did hit him. But we will wind it down to the 2-minute timeout here in this first half. So making up for that 1st down sack on the scramble there from TB5. And that'll most likely be the hardest thing to replicate, even if we have a scrambling starting quarterback whenever the time comes for us to get a new one. His ability specifically as a runner is especially special. Barnes under center. Calls out the signals on 3rd and goal. This is Knight up the middle, and he is going to be stuffed up. And a timeout taken by Wyoming. And that is going to bring up a 4th down and goal from the 2-yard line. And Sonoma State can take a field goal to take the lead. However, I do want to go for it because if they're backed up at the 2 and get aggressive, I feel confident about our ability to maybe get a safety or still prevent them from getting a play before the half as opposed to getting 3 points and good field position. Barnes play action, breaks down, scrambles across his body, touchdown, Scott McLawler in the end zone. 2 scores for number 80, a great play, the improv from number 5. We talked about how special it is, and the Seawolves get a 4th down score. Probably had a window to throw it to Gregory quickly off the play action to the flat. Would have had to throw it on time. Probably would have taken a hit on the catch, and that's a little more 50-50. But turned it down. We'll see it here. Would have to throw it so he's turning back towards the inside. Wouldn't be a great throw. Buy time to the outside. McLawler goes the other way. Makes it a hard throw, but gets himself wide open. Got it in the red area on the throw, but switched on, made the catch, and the Seawolves take a 17-10 lead with a minute 50 to go in this first half. They will touch the ball first in the second half. So anything outside of a touchdown would be very nice here on this drive going into the half as Tyler King takes the return. But a stop especially would be maybe a little icing on the cake to send ourselves into the break. 17-10, Cowboy offense. Back on the field, directed by, of course, Evan Sabota. Line moves around from the pocket underneath Gillenborg. A lot of catches in this first half. Not a ton of huge plays, but some. On the spot with the tackle, and it is a 2nd down and 5 as the clock winds. 2 timeouts for the Cowboys. Out in the route, on the run, throwing it away out of bounds. It'll be a 3rd down. And a stop here would give us an opportunity to potentially add some more points before the half, so that would be especially huge. Done a pretty solid job in the pass game, 13 of 20, 113 yards. Going to take our final time out here, so that would certainly complicate matters if we did get the ball back. We would have to certainly go pretty much turbo mode. I won't get into a whole thing of how I feel like they could play with the tempos a little bit more in this in terms of the variance between no huddle and turbo. But just over the head of Jaquez Blanks for a 1st down, getting into that in-between level between the 2 zones and quickly to the line of scrimmage is Wyoming as they try to march for a score. Going into the break, 75 seconds to go in this first half, and just right on the sideline, you'll see it right there, Tyler King just barely has that toe in very close, inside 2 minutes, so we cannot challenge. They could booth review, but I feel like the plays they decide to booth review are never even close, and the plays that are actually close and would draw a review in real life are never reviewed, which is really strange. All kinds of time for Sabota. Throws it underneath. That is number 87. Again, really should have wrote down his name as he has at least 3 catches in this first half. A lot of 2 tight end sets from this Wyoming offense. Really heavy between the 2 tight end, 1 running back, so 12 personnel, and the 1 running back, 1 tight end, 11 personnel in this more pro-style attack. So a little more pro-spreadish, you would say, as opposed to traditional pro-style, which is the fullback and running back, tight end, and 2 receivers. A little more of a lean towards spreading the field, but of course still do go with more of a standard look with 2 receivers and the 2 tight ends. A good amount of time. 3rd and 4 here. 58 seconds, just inside 1 minute to go in the opening half of action. From the pocket again, plenty of passing attempts and quick underneath for Sabota. Jaquez Blanks on the spot with the tackle, but that is enough for a 1st down. That is the running back number 22, Sam Scott, on the reception to move the chains for the Cowboys. Like I said, going very cover 3 heavy in this game. Here, going to mix in a little cover 6, it looks like, or maybe a 3 clown. I think we switched back into a cover 3 anyway. Underneath, on the spot with a tackle. Going to go no huddle. Just under 15. Clock winding for the Cowboys. 1 timeout remaining. Sabota from the pocket. Throw it outside. He's got Gillenborg down to the 1-yard line. They get the timeout. Get the tackle just outside of the goal line. Really need to spread our linebackers here so we can get that guy Gillenborg is breaking away from on the outside so he's more alerted to that break. That's kind of one of the big reasons I wanted to get back to running cover 3 a lot more, is just by aligning yourselves a little more to the formation. You can really help yourselves out and really lean into a more core-based coverage where we were really getting kind of sporadic and all over the place and just dialing up coverages without intent. So really trying to get back to the roots of why we're trying to run certain things, and remember that we are rooted in that cover 3. We kind of want to look at our defense as a cover 3 to a Palms, if that makes sense. Holland on the return, and that will take us to halftime here in Laramie in this Pac-12 showdown. 17-13, Sonoma State in the lead. Scott McLaughlin, big first half, 6 catches, 74 yards, and a pair of touchdowns for the 6'4" senior. Number 80, versatile, great blocker, fast, can get open downfield, can run away from linebackers. Another unique skill set that will be hard to replace, and that's what I'm kind of looking forward to. We have a lot of seniors, not necessarily in the sense that we're a senior-heavy team. We have a pretty good balance of how many guys are in each year on the roster, but a lot of our starters, a lot of our main guys are seniors and will be moving on, and so those guys are obviously the auto-generated team builder guys. And so I did edit some of the skill sets. Again, the overalls should be pretty accurate. You can download this roster yourself as we open this second half. And all the first-year players are the exact same, with the exception of Teron Barnes, actually. His original name is Xavier Jarvis. Not Xavier, Xavier. I have no problem with the name Xavier. Played travel baseball for a long time with a guy named Xavier. Great guy. Great name, to be honest. Xavier Jarvis, that specific combination, I don't know, really drove me crazy. So I made his name Teron Barnes because I essentially did a test dynasty with this closer to when the game first came out to kind of try to figure out what I wanted to do with this series, and I ended up getting a very high-level 4-star recruit at quarterback, and his name was Teron Barnes, and so I based the skill set for the guy who was Xavier Jarvis heavily off Teron Barnes, and then with that auto-generated name, I just decided to change the name as well once we got into the dynasty. But back to what I'm saying as we open the second half, Nolan Knight with the first carry. You can download this roster yourself. All the names from the first season are the same, with the exception of Barnes, of course, which I just went over. But that roster is how I was intending to have the team structured going into the year. When you start Dynasty, I don't know if it's specifically with team builder teams or all teams, because I've literally never done a Dynasty with just a generic team on the game. I've only done it with an SSU team builder. I don't know if it's every team, but with the team builder at least, some of the overalls and player archetypes change a little. So if you want to see kind of the more default archetypes I was going for, you can look at the main roster yourself if you have the game. It didn't really change too much. I tried to tweak the players so they were a little more closer to those base archetypes. Deep shot, back shoulder, Scott McLawler went to cover up the ball because I thought we were going to get hit. Probably could have broke loose for a touchdown, but 64 yards. Scotty Mack talked about wanting to incorporate more back shoulder when the defense is over the top, but one-on-one in that coverage. Again, more when they're locked in man because they're focused on the receiver. Throwing the ball so your receiver can find it and come back to it before the DB. Did it well, actually, in the first couple games of the series. I think I had one to Javion Foreman, of course, who is on BYU now, in our Arizona State game. So I think that's our second game ever. I hit a nice deep shot to him. I want to say in like the opening play of the fourth quarter, second quarter or something. That was a back shoulder throw. Haven't done it a ton. Did it there. Set up at the 10-yard line, 1st and 10. Barnes calling out the signals. Gonna get into some play-action boot, getting peeks on a corner route on the outside. Could have maybe hit him, but more room to run for Scotty Mack, and it is a hat trick for the senior, and he's getting jiggy with it. Touchdown, number 80. Seawolves, 2-score lead here in Laramie in this second half, and an electric first drive to open things in the latter frame. Back to what I was saying about the team. The default team is the archetype of players that I was going for. In the initial roster, I tried to find what ratings were tweaked and at least change them back to a point where it wasn't totally changing overalls, or I felt like they weren't too overpowered. But point being, with the default team builder guys, I was kind of trying to create some unique archetypes, because if you're going to be a low-rated team that succeeds, I think that's kind of one of the things you need, is to create some unique skill sets and some guys who are lower rated at some positions, but can do some things at that position that most guys can't typically do. So I was going for that, and so a lot of those guys will be graduating out, and so we'll get a chance to see kind of that second wave of guys on that original roster, but also get to see more and more of the guys we recruit take on the roles on the team. Wyoming offense on the field, Sabota and company getting to work. Fairly solid first half, 27 attempts through the air. Again, we face so much passing. definitely let up some big throws on that last drive of that first half that I wish we could have cut down on. But, you see it there, 21 of 28, 2 of 2. It's not awful. Again, completion percentage gets up there, so in the middle, we'll say, on the pass defense. But 13 points serviceable, 24-13 at the current moment. 2 receivers and a tight end to the right, and the back motions that way. Gonna swing it out. That is Nico Solomon there originally, but then a host of Seawolves coming down to make the tackle. And that's one of the primary things I'm trying to recreate the effect of through some different coverages is in Palms cover 4. They really crack down on those bubbles and alert to them really well. So I want to be able to do that from some different coverages. So I have some wrinkles in cover 3 I was trying out for this game. I don't know if they ran any bubble screens in particular against them, so didn't really get to see them played out. Have seen that effect played out in different ways, but again, trying to get back to the core base of what we're doing. And again, if you want more of the details of what we're doing, X's and O's, nitty-gritty of how we're arranging the dynasty, the conferences, all that, you're going to get a lot more of that in these full game broadcasts. If you just kind of like following the YouTube football, like watching the College Football 25 gameplay, just watch the shorter length videos if this is kind of too much for you, because those are a lot more kind of to the point and generalized, and these are meant to give me the room to ramble on a little bit and get a little more specific. Single high safety look for the Seawolf defense. They pinch the line. Motion again. Going to go with fake jet sweep and played out like wide zone. I don't know if it was technically inside zone or not. Trying to get it to the perimeter. We contain it well. Going to bring it to a 2nd down and 8. And there hasn't been a ton of gap running from this offense, and that was the thing I thought might be part of the offense that I was concerned about, was the gap schemes. But it's been a lot more wide zone, and we're really well set up to handle that as Jaden Bowie gets picked on, and that is going to be a touchdown for the Cowboys. Sabota finding number 11, Justin Stevenson, and an answer right back. Again, I want to focus on the fact that I am picking the wrong thing. I picked the interception one. I need to go for SWAT, or really probably play receiver, hit the A button. But man, I feel like the game is really unforgiving when you pick certain animations at helping you, play the certain animation with the thought in mind that there are other players on the field, if that makes sense. So I don't know why we're jumping at the ball like there's no receiver we have to think of. But anyway, Jaden Bowie picked on. Big play. Wyoming back in it. Go for 2. Don't get it. Great reaction play from Nico Solomon on the coverage. But room for Ty Hardy. He is loose. Number 1. Outrunning to the outside. 2015 10-5. Touchdown. Seawolves. Quick strike ability. Showing off in the second half. Saw the big plays from the offense. Mike drop play from number 1. Joining Javon Moore as the other guy who has returned a kick for a touchdown. In this series, he did it in our matchup versus San Diego State last year, but Ty Hardy, number 1, gets loose, down the sideline. Great blocking for one of the first times it feels like we get a little help from them running into their own players, as you see it right there, and we get a huge crease to run through and a quick answer for this SSU offense, and that means the defense is right back to work. The band goes off, and George Lincoln's right leg workout will continue in this one, sending it away with 6:13 to go in the third quarter. Tyler King, number 5, the speedster, back on the return. Our coverage unit takes care of business for the most part, 23-yard line on the return, and the defense will get right back to work. Would be huge to get a stop here. Offense is getting a extended rest after that return touchdown, so would love to get a stop, come back out, and really establish the ground game. Play action. not getting killed by it as much now that I have remembered to zoom out the camera angle. That really needs to be adjustment number 1 on my list before I even move anything around. Like, if you had to just play, if you could just change one thing about the whole game and stay in the same defense, like if we just played cover 3 and I zoomed out the camera, like we'd almost be better off than me tweaking around and doing all this stuff. So Sabota on the motion, pressure, gets it out late, and you see what I mean there. Just able to match more. I'm more attentive to what's going on, seeing the whole field, able to switch stick a little more, cover with multiple guys, and that's really going to be the key to opening up more of the spot, drop, and lock I've talked about, where we're locking on to certain guys to take away certain things, and then kind of needing to adjust our zone in a way that you can't script in the game. So the switch stick is really the big answer for it. And there you see the sim pressure paying off. Got all kinds of things going on. A bluff, a delay, stunts. Really, really, really liked what we had going on there. Jordan Underwood ends up being the one getting home. Was not intending to have him on a delay blitz. But again, one of the things that seems to happen for the CPU is it seems like their tight ends seem to just naturally help out a lot more. And I don't even know how to explain it. It just feels like the CPU can create beneficial contact and avoid harmful contact a lot more naturally than your players do. And it's really frustrating because it just creates this sense that you really, really have to almost user all 11 players, which is impossible. But again, I let that the big problem is that I so much let that get me sped up to, oh, we got to play all these coverages, we got to do all this moving around, yada yada. And it's like, hey, get back to your basics and remember your roots. And that's a very big thing that you see in football. So to a degree, it's cool that we get to see that played out. It's just frustrating that it is at the expense of me losing my mind on occasion. 6-yard gain for Tyson, 10 carries on the ground for him, almost 8 yards a pop, and a 2nd down and 4, and we got that stop we needed on defense. And again, would love to establish the run game and really turn the clock. Getting this into the 4th quarter even would be awesome. Getting to set up an RPO, bubble to the left side where we got trips. Gonna throw it, they kind of stood still, and I was like, all right, we'll take it. And Peaks is loose, not a speedster, but almost. Gets all the way to the goal line, caught at the 1-yard line, but the Sonoma State offense and special teams, and even the defense, all providing the big plays. This is really kind of the style we want to play. We'll give up some big plays on defense, create some big plays on defense. We're going to get some big plays on offense, whether it's quick screens, whether it's play action shots down the field. And if you're going to commit to taking away all of that, okay, fine, we'll take 8 minutes to move the ball down the field. Just running it right down the middle. Barnes on the throw. Gets out to the right. Can scramble in. Unselfish. More. Touchdown. Seawolves, number 10. And the team is looking good, everyone. The fellas looking nice in Laramie this afternoon. Looking to get back-to-back wins for the first time since our 4-0 start. Started 4-0, lost to USC. Picked up a victory against, Syracuse was the next week. Lost to UC Santa Barbara, beat Nevada, lost to Cal, beat UNLV. Would love to finish this one off, get back-to-back wins once again, get our 8th win on the campaign, but maybe more importantly from just a moral victory standpoint, get our 4th conference win. And since we play 7 conference games in the Dynasty in the Pac-12, that would get us a guaranteed winning conference record. So, bowl eligibility and that would be one heck of a step forward this year, no matter how the last 2 games finish. But again, if we win this game, got to finish this one off. Assuming we get a bowl game, I've been looking at the bowl projections, and I wanted to show them and see where we were projected to go, and we are projected to go to a bowl game despite our wins. I think that's just an AI error with the projections. I really think we will go to one. I haven't heard of there being that extensive issues in the AI bowl bids. Hitting the seam, hole in the cover 3. One of the things we need to alert for where if they start hitting that, we need to make a certain adjustment. Cover 3 match is the easiest adjustment. I just don't really love how cover 3 match operates. It's a little choppy, so I try to do some different things to create that effect. Reverse pass here, looking to throw. Fellas staying home, staying disciplined. Loss of 1. What was I even saying before all of that about the match coverage? I don't even remember. Oh, bowl projections. So I think it's just that the bowl projections are being goofy. I think we will get to a bowl game, because if I'm remembering right, in my test dynasty, this happened as well. So we should still get a bowl game. But with that logic, if we win out, we would get to double-digit wins, and that would kind of be a trifecta of moral victories, I guess you would say. 3rd and 8 from the pocket. Sabota throwing it away. 4th down once again, and after giving up a few chunk throws, which, again, we will do. We like to prevent them in the red zone and going for touchdowns, but we have settled in nicely and played a pretty solid 3rd quarter defensively, and certainly a good enough 3rd quarter defensively considering how explosively we have been on offense and with the return on special teams. Barnes and company taking the field once again, looking to continue the march in this second half. It has been a very good one. Scoring-wise for us, Tyson finding room, operating well, ground game starting to take root. And that's what we need down the stretch. Really milk this clock, wear out this Wyoming team, and perhaps wear out their hopes of remaining in the Pac-12 for another season. Motion across the formation. I believe that is Javon Moore that moved around. Bentley, the tight end, to the left. McLawler to the right. Moore moved again at the snap. Trying to be patient and let the block set up, but great slanting and pressure from the backside. Yikes, out of context for Avalon Sports perhaps there to contain the run. Loss of 2. 2nd down and 12, going to go empty. Trying to think through what I was trying to set up here. 1 and 2, clear out that middle with the go route with McLawler and kind of almost get a high-low with the in post. Definitely could have hit Javon Moore with the post. I think we would have had a big play. But we will step up in the pocket, be safe, take a 1st down. Again, not to keep complaining, and it's not even complaining necessarily, more to point out the kind of little aspects of the game that you kind of have to figure out. And, you know, if you're trying to play the game the way we are, where it's more football research to a degree, we're trying to figure out, like, what would some real things be that you'd have to do to play as this kind of team. Again, solve real problems in college football. So we kind of need to find the little nuances and ways to make up for certain things within the game. So that's the bigger reason I'm pointing certain things out. I want to emphasize that. Once again, I forgot what I was even talking about. Oh, in reference to not throwing the post and taking off and scrambling as we run a little power read there. Get a nice gain from TB5, getting him involved in the ground game. Some of the depths that defenders have where they are still able to make plays on the football, and especially intercept the ball, just at least in my brain, there are certain plays where it looks like our receivers have enough separation behind defenders to qualify as being open or a good throw, and defenders consistently are able to make plays on the ball. And so, again, you can throw high, and there are ways around that. You typically throw the ball a little more inaccurately when you throw high, so that's why I try to not do it when I can. But I feel like the threshold of when you need to throw high versus when you don't isn't in total correlation with my brain, so that leads to some of those conservative decisions in situations. And also the ref sometimes throws me off, to be totally honest. As stupid as that sounds, sometimes I'm mistaken for another defender, and I'm just like, Calvin, settle down. Guy's wide open. You think he's covered by the guy in pinstripes. Aye. Moving around. Barnes to the outside on a sweep. Gonna get some yards here, get 6 as we tick our way into the 4th quarter. Barnes and the offense at work. Bunch into the boundary. Get a motion over Javon Moore. a bit of a repetitive theme for the offense, especially today. Nolan Knight up the middle, block set up nicely, and the freshman out of Kernersville, North Carolina, number 4, taking it for a first down. 21-yard line, looking for that dagger, put away feeling score here. Quads to the right side of Barnes. Gonna fake a little hot route, I guess. I don't think anything actually changed. Let that clock wind down here as we look to chip away at the time remaining in the game. Play away. Barnes. Spencer Strickland right up the middle. No one there. And the Seawolves are in the end zone again. This time the slot back number 12. And that celebration has certainly gotten plenty of airtime this season. Sonoma State. This offense with a dagger early in the fourth quarter here, extending this lead. 25 for the moment, hopefully in a second 26. And number 12, Spencer Strickland, dynamic run, pass, threat for this offense. Meant to be sort of a third down running back, slot receiver hybrid role. If Danny Woodhead and Wes Welker were morphed into one person, that is what we're going for. George Lincoln puts it up and through, 45-19. And also, like, Deebo Samuel, in a great sense, would be unhinged in this role if he wanted to take those carries in the backfield. We don't do it a ton with Strickland. He gets like 8 a game. But I mean, you know, again, if you want to be a receiver and, you know, are concerned about your body holding up, taking those hits, teach their own. I'm just saying, he would fill that spot so beautifully, and I definitely see the appeal of using someone like him in the backfield, because it's just such a tough decision for how you handle it personnel-wise for the offense, because you're either at a tough look in the run fit, or you're at a severe mismatch. And especially in a Deebo Samuel instance, you know, you got a linebacker or safety on him. Yikes. My goodness. That would not be good. Didn't see who got it there. Sabota underneath, though. It's complete. I believe that's Gillenborg, number 84. Looks like the gear. Didn't catch the number, though. Van Claiborne and Blanks moving around in the second level. Motion man looks like Tyler King, number 5. They're going to hit him on a drag, and that speed gets loose a little bit, taking it to the 37-yard line. In their own territory are the Cowboys. Needed something quick if they want to stay in this one. Trailing by 26. Much better look for them on offense, surpassing their point total of the last 3 games combined. 17 total over the last 3, 19 today, and counting. Still plenty of time to add to that. Line pinches down. Walking down is our walk linebacker, Jacquez Blanks. Getting it out underneath, that is Gillenborg. Sabota surpasses the 300-yard threshold, a regular occurrence against this defense this season. Again, tremendous against the run. Tremendous against the run. I guess just the word around the country is don't even try to run. Just throw against them. So, you know, again, and we're not a great pass coverage unit. I want to emphasize that. We play a lot more aggressive-oriented coverages. And I guess the best way to put it is we are very reliant on high-level linebacker play in coverage. So even though, we don't give up a ton of over-the-top shots. If you watch Season 1, we were just getting burned down the field all the time, primarily due to my aggressiveness, so part of it is personal correction. But also just in general, a lot of improvement from our defensive backfield, so we're not getting burned over the top as much, but our linebackers have a lot of responsibility in helping out in those underneath and easy throws. And we don't quite have that elite quick or elite coverage core of linebackers yet. And so that is where we get most stung in the passing game. And so in many ways, teams can really replace their running game with the quick passing game against us and probably feel just as good. And so that's really where I'm hoping we can get to next, is being more sound in the second level. We have the off-season training boost for linebackers now, so that should very much so help out and help alleviate some of that pressure as somebody gets home. That was Deshaun Weeks. Ball was on the deck. Sabota gets on it to retain possession for Wyoming, but that'll bring up a 3rd down and 20. Huge play from the defense, but like I was saying, as a part turnip 4, my partner in crime on the Rabbit Hole Sports Media podcast, Trevor Hall, gets on the Xbox. 3rd and 20. Evan Sabota from the pocket all day. We've seen it regularly. I believe that was a 3-man rush again. So again, given the pass protection ratings from their defense and the number of 3-man rushes we have sent, not something I'm complaining about, just saying that they have all day because of how we're intending to play. And again, that's another problem, is we do sometimes, as much as I want to be an aggressive defense, I have leaned away from blitzing more and dialing up more simulated pressures as opposed to zone pressures and zeros. As 4th and 20, solo on solo shot, Tyler King gets behind our highest rated player, Noah Collins. It is a touchdown. Certainly a speed advantage for Tyler King. Another thing, I was trying to call cover 6 out of a certain personnel, a dollar personnel, which you can't play any different cover shell out of. You can only play a 2-high shell. And so when we came out into cover 6, I thought I got the call in time. I don't believe I did. I believe the CPU or AI ended up calling cover 6 out of a different formation, where I had a cover 0 shell on, so everyone was super aggressive down near the line, which I didn't want to do. Really frustrating. I could get into a whole thing on how I wish there was a little more of a lean for the CPU to take advantage of one-on-one coverage like that by hitting more back shoulders, as DeMarvin Holland almost gets loose again. Because just as someone who played DB, the urgency you have to protect, straight go balls and from speed over the top just isn't replicated super well in the game. Like, that's a big reason cover 2 invert can be a problem if you're running one of the cover 2 inverts out of 1 high, where a safety is kind of running over to one half of the field, is you really need to bail out and sprint to get over top of anything. And they really are just in like this backpedal drop that just isn't urgent enough. And so I'd love to see a little more of that kind of urgency from defensive backs replicated, and have the CPU truly kind of, hit some curls, hit some in routes, some drags, some comebacks. Because, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say speed isn't as advantageous as it is in this game, as we get a tremendous animation thrown into Spencer Strickland's head. I'm just saying I feel like the way speed impacts the game is seen in a wider variety of ways than is replicated in this game, where it's kind of just simply like, oh, well, a few times a game, they're probably going to run past somebody. And it's like, well, that is true, but if you have good players who play good technique over them, you're typically going to be able to withstand that a little bit. But again, you have to know your technique well, know your leverage well, and typically cheat over the top just a little bit, so that does open up more routes that come back to the football or break in certain directions or away from leverages, yada yada. It could lead into a whole discussion. But anyway, primary problem back on that 4th and 20 was us being in a cover 0 shell when I did not want to be. Gonna come out and look to go for it on 4th and 1. They come out in a cover 0 look themselves. If the screen blocking was accurate, could probably still run that screen, because you got the 3 guys down to deal with the 3 right on the line, and that safety probably isn't going to get down in time to deal with that guy. But we audible, end up running a bubble, get swatted down, perhaps lucky it is not intercepted, and it is a turnover on downs. Should have punted. Really should have punted. I don't really have much defense for that decision, other than the always semi-relevant argument that good teams need to be able to get 1 yard when 1 yard is needed. Play action, Van Claiborne ate it up, comes back to get a pressure, Solomon deflects, Bowie picks in the end zone, he's going to bring it out, should have taken the touchback, but that turnover on downs forced by Wyoming. All for naught, as Sabota throws his first interception of the game, and this SSU defense, despite giving up some plays, again, this is what we need to do. If we give up big plays, we can't let it avalanche, and we've done a decent job of that today. By no means a flawless outing, but very similar to our Nevada performance, I would say, were within the flow of the game, given how we were playing offensively. Very serviceable defense. If you're looking at a general broad scope of evaluating defensive performance, a lot to still correct and get better at. Going on the ground, Spencer Strickland. Probably his turn to eat up some carries for us. Keontae Tyson has certainly taken on a fairly decent workload in this game. Seeing Nolan Knight a decent amount as well. And we're going to see a little bit of that depth chart change here. Strickland in the 1 spot, Knight in the 2. We're going to move Tyson into the 2 spot actually now. So if Strickland gets a little worn down, Tyson will come back in. Given our auto subs, that should only be a couple of carries before that happens. But we will see. I may get, a little, I don't even know what to call it, stupid, over-aggressive, ambitious, that's the word, ambitious in the play calling, and, throw something like a bubble here, but no, we're going to keep it smart, keep it on the ground. Spencer Strickland, first down, 19-point lead, inside 5 minutes. If they really, really sell out and are, totally abandoning someone, then yeah, sure, throw a little alert or whatever. But, let's keep it on the ground. Calvin, talking to the self that's calling plays and already did this. But, and let's take it home. Let's take it home. Barnes under center. This is more of that traditional pro look that I was talking about that Wyoming didn't really show us today. They did more 2 tight ends. We put in the fullback Gregory there. Picks up a nice block. Tyson, another solid run. He is over 100 yards, continuing and building on his very solid campaign. Has not gotten in the end zone in a couple of weeks after that touchdown throw to Spencer Strickland. That makes it at least 9 straight touchdowns that have come throwing the football, which I'm very much all right with, because almost all of our touchdowns were runs in the, first 9 games of the year. I think we had 15 passing touchdowns in the first 9, and then all of a sudden I've had 9 in the last 2, so we'll take it. Balances things out. Strickland up the middle. Also don't know how much of it is the adaptive AI really kind of kicking in and starting to lean or look for the run a lot more in the red zone, which has made it easier to throw, or if we're just getting a little better at finding our guys in the red zone. Probably a mix of both things. 3rd down and 1 would be nice to convert here. Gonna check, get ourselves set up. Strickland, huge hole. Number 12, can't quite outrun him, but that is a big play. And the linebacker, the leading tackler on this Wyoming Cowboy team, Gary Rutherford, number 26, banged up on the play. But Spencer Strickland with a big first down. That'll stop the clock, so I was about to say only one more snap till the 2-minute timeout. I don't think it'll start running again. I think technically it should, even at this point in real life. I'm not totally sure. It wouldn't stop for going out of bounds, but maybe for an injured player under 4 minutes, it stops permanently. I don't know. Very annoying how it seems like injuries don't happen until the very end of the game. And then, they just extend it and have them stop the clock. It's like, all right, come on. Javon Moore, quick alert, like I was talking about, totally abandoned him. Get another easy first down. Continue to wind the clock here. One more play, and we should be able to hit the 2-minute timeout. Going to see it. Those guys lean so aggressively to the inside. Blocking is set up so nicely. Huge lane for Moore. Actually registers as a run, I guess, if I was looking at that correctly. Or maybe that was from last game. I don't know. Said 1 for 22 and a touchdown. So it must have been season stats or something. But don't know if that registered as a run or a throw. But nonetheless, a first down and a clock turner for this Seawolf team, looking to move to 8-3 on the season after a fairly complete performance here today. An RPO that almost ends up operating like a play-action QB draw. Not the intent of the play, but that's kind of how it acted out. If we got a block from Keontae Tyson, this might actually hit for a huge run. But nevertheless, 2-minute timeout. Can really just run it out. Can probably kneel it out. I don't know how the CPU is going to handle their timeouts in this kind of situation. I feel like they've course corrected a little bit, and there's a little bit better of an admission of defeat from the CPU at certain points. As Strickland gets the ground, cheese please, on the counter. Rutherford came back in, gets banged up again. Maybe just sit him out, Wyoming. Maybe just have him take a rest. I don't know. Not trying to coach their team, but, you know, not many meaningful snaps, I would say, remaining in this one here. But like I was talking about, injuries, and I don't know why that wouldn't cost them a timeout. Maybe I went out of bounds, so it stopped the clock anyway. I'm not sure. But nevertheless, always injuries at the end of the game to elongate things. We're going to false start to elongate things. Now that I'm thinking about it, I may even delay a game after this too, which would just be insane. There cannot be anything that important worth setting up. But I'm always, you know, even when I'm getting conservative and calling runs and trying to milk the clock, I'm still trying to look for one that's really going to gash them and hit a home run to some degree. I just can't help it. Moving around, checking around, and we do get the snap off, so no delay a game. Strickland lets it get set up, picks up just a yard. Clock will continue to run. Wyoming will not use their timeouts, however, of course, because of the injury or me going out of bounds. I don't really know which one it is that the clock was permanently stopped. Only reason complaining about the injury one is that it would cost them a timeout, and should have if it was the injury, which leads me to believe it was probably me going out of bounds. Here's the delay of game. Again, nothing that important worth setting up at this point in the game, but nevertheless, always trying to get one more in without totally making it obvious, I guess. Here we go. 2nd and 19 now. 72 seconds to go.
Ready, set. Black 24. Black 24.
Overload formation.
29 Philly.
Why not keep a little alert in the slot there? Why not throw it out? Pad the stat sheet a little bit for Javon Moore. I guess to a degree, I mean, I want to get the first down so we can... Well, no. Either way, after this 3rd down, the game's over. So yeah, I can't really give you any logic there other than we're just trying to sneak a little extra score in there, because why not? They would have ate us up on that run, I'm pretty sure. My recollection of what happened on the play that happened literally just now is still the same. I believe they run-fitted that pretty good. 3rd and 6. Last play of the game. Could literally just do anything. We're going to hand it to Nolan Knight. Get him one more carry. He's going to pick up 3 or 4. Bring it to a 4th and 2. And that is going to do it for the action. The game's recommending the field goal. I'm not going to do that. Younger me certainly would have either gone for a dagger touchdown here or kicked the field goal as time expired just to make the scoreboard look even better in my favor. And then started tweaking with coach adjustments here just to see what they were, because I haven't played around with them too much on the offensive side. And then realized that stops the clock, which is really annoying because when you do formation subs, they do not stop the clock for you. They keep counting it down on you, because on defense you only have so much time to call a play. And I get that the effect, I guess, is in real life you only have so much time to sub your guys. But when you don't have formation subs, / are using a custom playbook and really want to get specific with personnel, it's very, very frustrating. But nevertheless, ball game. Teron Barnes, player of the game. 72% completion, 279 through the air, 5 touchdowns. 9 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks for TV5. Wyoming offense had their moments. Sabota, he had 371 in the air, only 15 yards rushing. Sam Scott ran it okay in his average yards per carry. I think really, really helped out by that first 32-yard run to start the game. But you see it right there, 385 total yards, or 15 yards on, or 14 yards on 15 rushes. 385 total yards, 29 to 43, 371. 50% each on 3rd down. Still 67% completion, 3 touchdowns and a pick for Sabota. See it there, Scott, over 7 yards a pop. 7 carries for 27-ish yards outside of that 32-yard run, so still around 4 yards to carry. You see Gillenborg right there finishes with 9 catches, 69 yards. He had 7 for 51 at the half, so holding him for 2 for 18 in the second half, and with him being a legitimate, highly rated tight end, not just some middle-of-the-road rated tight end that we let get a bunch of catches. Not the worst outing in the world, or not our worst of the season against tight ends. Tyson surpasses the 100-yard mark on the ground, but this was about Scott McLawler in the receiving game. 8 catches, 148 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jaden Bowie, 7 tackles. Deshaun Weeks, a sack. Jordan Underwood, Jacques Blanks, and I believe it said Devin Skates as well picked up half a sack. But a very complete outing for Sonoma State. And we will catch you next time on Rabbit Hole Radio with Pac-12 Football.